Hello and welcome to Mansion Interviews, a podcast to improve your English while at the same time giving me an excuse to talk to interesting people. One of the best sessions I went to at NMX in Las Vegas this year was the very first session of the conference by Mignon Fogarty, otherwise known as Grammar Girl. Mignon has a wonderful podcast called Grammar Girl's Quick and Dirty Tips for Better Writing. Her podcast has won Best Educational Podcast Awards. It's been downloaded from iTunes millions and millions of times, and Mignon has a whole collection of quick and dirty tips podcasts about many different topics on her website at quickanddirtytips.com. So she's famous, she's very successful on the internet, and I was quite nervous as I was standing in line with other people to ask her for an interview after her presentation. I was so nervous, in fact, that I forgot to ask her all the questions I'd prepared. But, as you'll hear, she was lovely and a real pleasure to chat to. So here's my quick and dirty interview with Mignon Fogarty, otherwise known as Grammar Girl. Remember, you can improve your listening with comprehension questions and find some help with difficult words from this interview at inglespodcast.com/grammargirl. Okay, I'm here at NMX, Las Vegas, with Mignon Fogarty, otherwise known as Grammar Girl. Thank you for your time, Mignon.
You're welcome. Hi, thank you for having me, Craig.
The first question I'd like to ask you is I get quite nervous when I speak to psychiatrists because I think they're analysing me. Do you find that people get nervous when they're speaking to you because you're known as a grammar expert?
People do, and they get especially nervous when they send me email messages. I'll get email messages with just blanket apologies at the bottom that say, I'm sorry for anything I've done wrong here. And I always laugh because I'm the fun, friendly grammar girl. I'm not judgmental, and I'm like everyone else. I'm reading emails very quickly, and often they'll be apologizing. I'll get follow-up messages apologizing for typos that I hadn't even noticed.
So do you double read your own emails to make sure there are no mistakes before you send them?
I do, and even then I'm not perfect. My favorite feature of Gmail is the unsend. You can set it so that you have 5 seconds to unsend something or a few seconds, and I can't tell you how many times somehow there's something about clicking the send button that makes you see typos. I don't know what it is, but the second you've clicked send, you see it. And so that ability to quickly click unsend and fix it has been a lifesaver.
Yeah, it is. It's wonderful. You have a background in science. How did you make the switch or the change from being into medical writing to English grammar? How did that happen?
Right. Well, my undergraduate degree is in English, and then I was working as a science writer an editor, and so it was sort of a natural transition. I did a science podcast first, and I was looking for something actually a little simpler to do when I started Grammar Girl, the 5-minute quick tip, and it came about in part because I saw my editing clients were making the same mistakes over and over in their writing, and so I thought, well, people could use a quick writing tip every week, that you could just easily brush up instead of having to go to a class or, buy a reference book that, you could just absorb it through podcasting with this quick weekly tip.
Right. In my teacher's room at my school, there are often these arguments between the grammar purists of what's correct English and the people who say that if native speakers say it, then it's probably accepted usage. The classic example would be the fewer people or less people. What side of the fence, how do you stand on this issue?
It's funny, I tend to be much more, the phrases in the writing world are descriptivists versus prescriptivists. I tend at heart to be much more of a descriptivist, saying that I think language change is inevitable and fascinating and fun. I love learning about new words. I don't get upset when Oxford Dictionaries adds LOL to the dictionary. it's their job to tell you what new words mean. But in my Grammar Girl podcast and in my work, I tend to be more prescriptivist because, for one, I'm Grammar Girl and I feel as if I'm supposed to set an example for quote-unquote proper writing. And, it's not my job to be on the leading edge. It's my job to help people avoid making mistakes that will get them in trouble at school or at work. And so, and people come to me because they want the rules. They want someone to tell them what to do. So as much as I love language change personally, in my work, I tend to be more conservative.
Sure. So if my Spanish students make mistakes with grammar, would you agree that they shouldn't worry too much as long as they can be understood and as long as there's communication?
Yes, I think it's important for, whenever you're learning, it's important to feel happy and positive. I've always felt that the people who criticize other people's grammar aren't interested in helping them learn. If you come up to someone and say, "You're wrong," and "You're stupid for getting this wrong," people are going to shut down. They're not going to be open to learning and doing it right over the long run. They're not going to want to practice, and they're certainly not going to want to talk to you again about it. So I think it's really important to be positive and supportive when you're trying to teach. I think that you want to explain to them that whatever they've said isn't going to fly in a cover letter or maybe a job interview or a professional speech, but as long as they're making progress, help them make progress. And don't focus on that it's wrong, focus on how much better it can be.
Do you speak any other languages?
Oh, barely. I took German in high school, but I probably couldn't even get around in Germany. I remember funny folk songs they taught us in class and just random phrases that wouldn't be helpful. I can say, "The TV set is broken again."
Telefunken something.
Das Fernsehapparat ist wieder kaputt. It was in some thing I had to memorize in high school, and that is not helpful or useful.
Well, Mignon, thank you very much for your time. Where can people go to find you if our Spanish listeners want to know more about your grammar podcasts?
Oh, thank you. Well, my home online is quickanddirtytips.com, and I'm easy to find on Twitter and Facebook. My username at both those places is Grammar Girl.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Isn't she nice? I had absolutely no reason whatsoever to be nervous. And I hope you enjoyed the interview with Mignon as much as I enjoyed speaking to her. But I wish I'd asked her those other 2 questions. I agree with her totally on the points she made about grammar. I'm definitely a descriptivist when it comes to grammar. I have to teach the rules in class because I'm an English teacher, and that's what I do. But language is flexible, and as Mignon says, it should be fun. And I love hearing new words and expressions that come into the English language. In the show notes to this episode, at inglespodcast.com/grammargirl, I've put a link to a TED video about language, and I think you'll find it interesting. So have a look at that video. And don't forget to subscribe to Grammar Girl's podcast and go to the website quickanddirtytips.com, where you'll find some excellent podcasts on a wide range of topics. One of my personal favourites is Steve Robbins' Quick and Dirty Tips on Productivity. So, thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.